Hey, we're back again. Again. I told you I'd upload a ton of videos, and this time I've got a special guest. The one, the only, the legendary Cloaked. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for the intro, Fear.
Very professional, right?
Very.
Alright, let's go. I think everyone's ready. Everyone's observing. The slots are 1 versus 5, which is correct. So, I've been casting a lot of these games, and I've noticed that players, as they've gotten better, have actually sort of regressed a bit into playing quite macro-heavy styles, even on medium maps like this. So I'm kind of wondering what we're going to be seeing from Tyguy in particular. I wonder what he's going to try and pull off here, because his opponent is not... He's definitely not a bad RTS player, I guess you could say, but at the same time, he's quite new to Remastered, so I'm curious as to what we're going to see.
Okay. So, tell me about Garzerlake. Has he been playing Deserts of Karak, or is he new to Homeworld in general?
I'm not sure what his history of Deserts of Karak is. I've only really encountered him when I started talking to him about Homeworld Classic. He is one of the first people I started playing that game with.
Oh, great.
So yeah, he was the best one of the few people who were playing it with me. So I think he's got experience with RTS, but I don't think I've actually seen him in game in Remastered yet. So this is my first time seeing him. People got their probes alive.
Yeah, that was my fault. I was talking.
Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah, I'm used to spectator maps being high in the sky, not this non-spectator map.
Yeah. I think the observers in this observer race should actually have 0 vision radius, to be honest. I don't understand why they don't.
Yeah, you know, the reason I did that was if you wanted to spectate a... gosh, I even forget the reasoning behind this. Yeah, I think it's if you want to spectate a offline game versus AI, and you can just kind of see what's going on.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you just immediately end the game as soon as you scuttled.
Yeah. Oh, that's true, that's really annoying. Okay, so we've got Tyguy sending a probe down below, which is interesting. I nearly always see players sending it above because of the way people hold their camera. It's like top down. But Tyguy actually sends us below, and he's done that in every single tournament match so far. So I'm kind of curious as to the reasoning behind that. Perhaps he feels like he can just catch the production ships in the very top of the radius and be unseen, because the probe from the Vega flagship comes up a bit, so if Garzerlake was to make one, perhaps the probe would not see Tyguy's probe? That's the only thing I can think of to justify that positioning.
Yeah, I tend to mix it up. I'll send him above sometimes, below sometimes, just so it's not predictable.
Yeah.
You know, if I know a guy always sends him above, it's easy to scout and kill it.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty standard start from Tyguy. This is basically what he's done in every single one of his games. The research module first, just to kind of catch any surprise attacks that his opponent might go for, I guess. Obviously, I can't know his reasoning, because he's him and I'm me, but that's what I'm assuming he's building that early research module for. Actually, no, he's got... What's he got on his carry? He's got fighters. I wonder if he's going to go for some sort of rush build, but I can't imagine he will do, because he's got that collector heading towards the 3rd patch.
Yeah, he's expanding to the 3rd right now.
Yeah, Garzerlake is actually expanding. I'd say Garzerlake is actually ahead, to be honest. He also has that fighter facility and research module combination, which I'm not sure when this became standard, because I've seen a lot of people do it. I don't really understand the reasoning behind it. I think it just could be they're planning to head into a big macro style game, but they want that safety net just in case the other person rushes them, perhaps. I really can't justify it. Because obviously if you're going optimal macro, you're going to start with a carrier and things like that, but it's very risky to do so.
Yeah, it's a pretty close map here. It's probably closer carrier spots than shield, right?
Yeah.
From the way they moved in?
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, what tends to happen is that there are just slightly too many accessible back patches. As you can see,
so you can fall backwards.
Yeah. Me and S have been talking with... I think we're going to make a version of this map with perhaps 2 or 3 of these patches cut out. because Fallen Laws is actually it's one of my favorite maps. It's such a amazing size. It has the dust clouds. It has all these interesting features to it, but um, with this amount of IUs on the map, it tends to devolve too often into like big macro sort of frigate timing attack.
Mm-hmm.
But neither player is interested in attacking the other. I'm actually very happy with how Garzerlake is playing this. I thought, as a new player to Remastered, he would sort of flounder about a bit and not saturate his patches correctly and things like that, but he's actually got good saturation on all of these patches.
So something interesting, I noticed on Garzerlake's carrier, he's got that advanced sensors array.
Yeah.
So personally, myself, I never build them on the carriers because the range they provide kind of sucks.
Yep.
In Fear, I don't know if that's something to keep in the back of your mind for future updates, but I think it's smaller than a probe's range, if I'm not mistaken, it costs more. So in my mind, it's a mod that's probably not going to be killed, but I'd rather just get a probe for the range.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's probably in agreement. I think I'm okay with it in this scenario, only because the carrier
it's so forward.
Yeah, the carrier positions are just in range of each other. So I do like it in the scenario. I think it might be actually optimal. But I do agree with you that in 90% of cases, you're just going to get a probe and put it right next to your carrier.
Yeah. And I will say that module, I do get most games on my mothership, because on the mothership, it actually gives you more range than a probe. Yeah. So, something like 10-15% more range is great when bombers are bombing for your core modules on the mothership.
Absolutely. The mothership sensors array being bigger than a probe obviously lets you scout out other probes that might have, if someone's positioned it just perfectly to just clip your mothership with its sensors, the mothership can then see it back again with that advanced sensors, which it can't actually do by putting a probe next to itself, because the probe might be positioned incorrectly. It might be too far down or too far left or something like that. So I'm not sure if I actually enjoy the concept of these sort of sensors. I feel like vision in this game is really, 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 really already way too easy to get. I don't know if I'm so much of a fan of the concept of the sensors. But I do agree with you that the carrier sensor is in a position where it's really not worth ever building. Something interesting, I feel like this game is going to go rapidly in Tyguy's direction. Only saying that because I'm seeing a very, very fast fire control on Garzerlake's forward carrier, and I feel like being down this many RUs into something that I don't think he's got the army to justify.
Exactly.
He's also trying to get a 4th patch, while Tyguy is taking an aggressive position at the front with 2 carriers. He doesn't have a module on the second one, of course, but I'm expecting either corvettes or frigates to come out very soon.
Yeah, that fire control module is a great module when you've got a full complement of fighters or corvettes, but when you've only got a few early on, it's hard to justify that cost.
Absolutely. We got some lag from how do you pronounce this guy's name? One? Aeon?
Oh, it's AOHNH. I usually call him AO.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was calling him AO as well. Looks like the lag's clearing up now, though. Yeah, not much we can do about it. People should probably leave if they are lagging. I hope they know that. But things have stabilized now. Yeah, there's the Corvette facility from Tyguy, as expected. It could have
like he's got a Corvette module on his other carrier now, so he's got 2 fighters and 1 Corvette module.
Yeah, so that's what I was just about to say, because I saw this carrier pushing forward without a module, and I was really expecting it was going to be corvettes or frigates. I think both of those are fine. I feel like in the Vega matchup right now, the corvettes might be a better option, just because laser corvettes really do their job. Heavy missiles can actually really struggle to get a foothold. Even in 2.1, I feel like there's that factor at play. Great, now look.
Well, hey, I don't want to talk about laser corvettes in 2.1. Those things are so bugged half the time they don't even attack.
Yeah, it's yeah, because they're affected by the 666 bug, aren't they?
Yeah, and I believe there's another bug that was present in 2.1 where half the time they make their first attack run, but then they just kind of circle around and don't attack for a while. It's really bad.
That's awful.
Yeah, so Gearbox fixed that in the 2.2 what is it, 2.205 patch preview, but of course it was never pushed out to everybody. So
that's such a shame. I mean, if they had it ready, they should have just, you know, pushed that one
Yep.
out.
Well, so my understanding why that didn't get pushed out, I got wind that it was something like $10,000 to push out a patch for this game. I don't know if that's the case or not, but you know, there was a monetary cost involved on pushing another patch out.
Okay, so Garzerlake now responding with his own missile corvettes from the back carrier. He needs to... his forward carrier is in so much danger here. He really needs to get a cloak. He also needs to probably leave a refinery where his second carrier is, so he can bring that forwards. Because having this long distance with these missile corvettes, especially without the speed upgrade on them, is going to really hurt him. I expect that Tyguy probably has about 4 or 5 corvettes banked up at this point. He also has a fire control on his own carrier, which, again, I feel like that's just too early. Even I think it's better than Garzerlake's extremely early fire control. But
yes, definitely.
Garzerlake also has an idle collector at his new patch, which I see this I've criminally often from every player in this tournament. They do this. I think I've probably done it several times. I've just not noticed, of course.
Yeah, I tend to hit that idle collector hotkey quite a bit, just to make sure nothing's sitting idle.
But he really needs to get that mining. I mean, he is technically ahead on the eco of Balcora. Oh no. Tyguy's got 4 patches. He's just saturated Nectron there. So Tyguy is well ahead in every regard. He's ahead on army. I think he's ahead on upgrades. We haven't seen his corvettes, of course. He does have his own idle collector, probably to just prove my point that everybody does this. And here come the Strikecraft from Tyguy now. He looks like he's ready to push, and this is the ideal push time for Vega. You know, he's got the triple carriers. I imagine improved manufacturing is either done or on the way. Even with the price hike, that is still just a always get upgrade for Vega. And Tyguy probably knows he's ahead because he's got that probe beneath that was never challenged. I don't think Garzerlake can even see that probe. He doesn't have his own probe on the carrier though, so that's a bit strange. I can't tell if it can see that though.
Yeah, so this is going to be a hard fight for Garzerlake to hold in the middle. If TY pushes in, he's got 3 carriers to dock in. That's going to be extremely valuable,
Absolutely.
and Garzerlake's just not going to be able to keep up with the dock healing.
That's exactly, yeah. Garzerlake now throwing out his probes, trying to figure out what's actually on the map, and he's got to be seeing this and getting worried, surely. You know, he's looking at a maxed out fleet of assault craft here that are backed up by EMP scouts, and these are definitely EMP scouts. Look at the way that Tyguy is positioning these scouts. So he's spreading them out above the field of play and also fanned them out, so they will hopefully hit a central point if the fight takes place. But Tyguy always puts his scouts way above, I think for the same reason that people put probes above. It's so that you can't see them when you're looking down at your units, so he can come in from above and stun you with the EMP. But we are seeing that, you know, Tyguy's got the upgrades on his missile corvettes, although Garzerlake now does have his own, but he doesn't have the speed. Interestingly, you know, Garzerlake, I feel like this is a mistake that newer players make, is they try, especially on Vega, to get too many technologies at once. You know, he's got the corvettes, and he's also got the heavy missile frigates.
Yeah, those frigates, they might push TY back, though. He doesn't have any lasers, does he?
No, but I can't imagine. I mean, he's seen these frigates for quite a while.
Yeah, the real problem is once TY guy dives in, Garzerlake's not going to be able to back him up with any swarm. He just doesn't have enough.
Exactly, and there are actually laser corvettes in the fray here. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 3 squads of laser vets.
Those should clean up the frigs pretty quick.
Yeah, these frigs, of course, don't have their upgrades. So you can see in just one pass, they're actually just one pass of 3 laser vets. Here come the scouts now. There's nothing really to EMP except for those corvettes. We'll see if he actually targets those. Scouts sort of flying around looking for a target. Garzerlake actually did indeed have a lot of fighters docked with that frontal carrier. So he's really got to watch out for these scouts that are coming up behind him though. Hopefully the scouts don't just dump all their EMPs on a single assault craft squadron. Although it must be said this is a really bad fight for Garzerlake just because if you have all your units docked with one carrier, of course they come out piecemeal, and Tyguy is just ready to throw him into the wood chipper. EMPs being fired off now from Tyguy's scouts. Really bad EMPs though. They did manage to stun one squadron, but it is massively overkilled. But at this point, it probably does not matter. As I said, Fallen Lords has started to develop into what players are starting to consider to be quite a big map, actually, just because of the amount of RUs that are available. You tend to enter into these 14 to 18 minute fights with maxed out armies, especially as Vega. And you can just see, the superior numbers from Tyguy. Even if Garzerlake docks micros perfectly and all this kind of stuff, I really feel like I'm not sure what he can do to come back into this game.
Yeah. One thing I do like out of Garzerlake here, he does have a cloak module on his carrier. He's not using it right now, but if you dock your fighters into that carrier, you can turn on your cloak and they basically will replenish for free. Your opponent's not going to be able to easily just chase them down and snipe them as they try to dock.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's basically a free dock.
Yep, and I feel like a lot of people just don't even think about that. It's when you say it out loud, it's like, oh yeah, that's obvious. Surely, when you're docking, you're not attacking, so therefore you'll get cloaked. But you actually rarely see it from people. Yeah, even
yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, usually when people use cloak, it's because bombers are hitting their modules. They don't even think about, oh, this can help me dock my swarm.
Yeah, precisely. People don't use cloak for a lot of things, actually. For defense fields, people rarely use it. People rarely use it to... S actually played a shield game with me yesterday, and he hid his technology for about 3 minutes with a cloak.
Ah.
Yeah, and just completely jumped me with a whole bunch of missile corvettes. As you can see, Garzerlake's, even with the upgrade on the frigates, these laser corvettes are absolutely tearing them to shreds. And all of Garzerlake's own strike has just been cleaned up here. Yeah. I really don't feel like there's any chance for him to come back into this one. He would have to... I really don't know what he could do. Perhaps
yeah, I think he's gone at this point.
Perhaps if all of this strike is right next to his flagship and he scuttles. That's the only thing I can think of to even have a chance of coming back into this game.
Yep.
He's just going to call it GG. Which is very sensible. I see a lot of people actually just never surrender until, like... They just don't surrender. They'll be on one carrier with no resource collectors.
Yep.
Against, like, 4 battlecruisers, and they'll try and hyperspace away and things like that, and it's I think there is merit in fighting to the end and all that sort of stuff, but I think the fun of the game is kind of over once one player gets significantly far ahead like this. But that is going to be 1-0 for Tyguy on... I think that was Tyguy's pick, was Fallen Lords. So I think that's his 3rd game on Fallen Lords in this tournament. This is his last series in the round robin. And as you can see in the stats, it's just a complete wash. Tyguy is ahead on every count. Although Garzerlake is not actually that far behind on resources, so that was really good from him. For a new player, that's really good. Getting into game 2 now, so I'm pretty sure Angel Wing was Garz's choice. Although I do have to say that Tyguy, if he could choose 2 maps, he would probably choose Fallen Lords, then Angel Wing. So Tyguy definitely not in uncomfortable territory. If you want to make Tyguy uncomfortable, you want to take him to things like Rings of Haral, because...
Ooh, that's a fun map.
Yeah, it's very fun, and a lot of players, they're not used to maps that are a bit outside the norm. They're very used to, here's my first patch, here's my natural, here's my third. Whereas Rings of Haral really challenges that.
I think Garzerlake's biggest mistake there.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, I was muted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've got Robbie in the chat here now.
Oh, okay.
Was his lack of scouting early game. He didn't really... I don't know if he knew the tech, because he went frigates when there was Corvette facilities.
Absolutely.
That's usually a bad idea as Vega v Vega.
Yeah.
Because Vega doesn't really have any anti-vet Corvettes. Frigates.
Exactly.
So you really need to keep an eye on modules.
Right, I guess I'll join Garzerlake's team 5. Alright, so this is game 2 between Tyguy and Garzerlake. Are they in the correct positions? 4 against 1, yes they are. But, you know,
Alright.
Roby's entirely correct. You know, it's sort of like, I will have to chalk that up to Garzerlake's inexperience with the game in general. You know, a more experienced player will say, oh, he's going vets. I really can't go for frigates unless I'm somehow able to blindside him with about 20 frigates and take out all of his production ships. Especially since laser corvettes are so good in 2.4. We'll see if Garzerlake adapts to it in this game. Okay, everyone's got a scuttle. Make sure. Scuttle observers.
Destroy enemy motherships.
Cool. What is Garzerlake's color scheme? Sort of like a black with grey? Ugh, not a fan. I think I like Tyguy's one even more than that. And I don't like Tyguy's one.
No, it's black on black. It's just the Vigor.
Oh, right,
You
okay.
don't have a gray stripe no matter what color scheme.
Oh, that's
It's
true,
kind of
that's true.
camouflaged on this map a bit.
A little. He should have like orange or something.
Yeah, I was looking at the black background. You're
Oh,
right, most of
okay.
the map is orange.
That tends to be the case with Homeworld 2 maps, right? You know, they're all orange and red and stuff like that, whereas Homeworld
Yeah.
1 tended to have actual space-colored maps.
You know, the reason I actually chose my team color is green and white, because I figured, you know, you've got your enemy's red, you're green, so I figured I'd make my ships green, so I'd be, you know, just a bit harder to see on the map. I don't know if that actually has any impact, though, because you've got the tactical overlay.
Right.
And this was my thinking, mind you, when I first started this game as a noob.
Right.
So,
Okay.
You know what's funny is that was Cloak's exact reasoning. I mean, not Cloak. S's exact reasoning as well.
Oh, really?
oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay,
But you know, it's funny. We've got a lot of team colors with green. I'm green. Fear, you've got green. Ty guy's green.
no,
He took his
I'm
green off.
yeah, I'm not green. I haven't been green for
Oh,
a long time.
you've what colors are you rocking these days?
I'm like orange
gray and
with dark
orange.
grey.
Oh, okay. You switch it up then.
Yeah. I think I've got the best color scheme. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah.
So yeah, right, okay. Anyway, we're talking about completely nonsensical stuff here. So we've got Angel Wing. It's supposed to be a cast of a tournament game. Come on.
They're just going double eco, looks like.
Yeah, pretty much expected. I mean, it is Angel Wing. I think of all the maps in the pool, this is the map where if you wanted to play macro, you're gonna bring it here, because you've got these 3 gigantic starting patches. I mean, what are we playing with? Standard RU multiplier, and yet still, these big RUs have 40,000 RUs on them. There's just really no chance of you ever running dry. And that's, you know... Yeah, go on.
I've got a question for you while we're lagging here.
Yeah.
I see some people, they like to get these early mobile refineries like Garzerlake has just done.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that's kind of, like, unless you're doing like a really fast rush build, I think it's kind of a waste of, what, 900 RU for that?
Yeah. So I feel like if you want to macro, and just macro, like pure macro, do nothing else. I honestly don't want to give a disappointing answer, but I feel like it's quite map dependent. I'd say on this map, I would still get the carrier facility extremely fast and just get a second carrier, so I can make an insane amount of collectors very quickly. But
yeah, I would tend to agree. Once you get that carrier, it's, you know, it's a little bit more than the refinery, but then you're going to be able to pump out even more collectors faster.
Precisely.
And not only that, one thing a lot of people don't know about the different resource collector drop-offs, the carrier is the fastest unit to be able to handle resource collectors dropping RUs off to it on the Vagrant fleet. And the mobile refinery is a little bit slower. So if I've got my pick and I'm trying to macro, I would rather have a carrier on my patch than a mobile refinery.
Really? Why is
Accepting
that? Is it like
so
a...
the quickness is the travel distance. So for the quickness is carriers the quickest, then the refinery,
And then the mothership.
yeah, of course the flagship would be last, right?
Reason for
Yeah,
that
the
is
flagship is so slow.
if you look at the flagship right now, they have to come in, line up, and then enter.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when they exit, stop, and then reposition. Whereas the carrier, they just kind of come in at an angle and they park and then they just leave.
Yeah, I think it's no race is quite as bad as Tydan though. The Tydan flagship, not only is it the most difficult to position correctly, but the runway that the collectors actually have to go through to get to that IU drop off is just ludicrous. I think it's almost half the width of the carrier itself. The flagship itself.
But its carrier is pretty good. Its carrier is one of the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next to the only one better than that is the Garen one.
Yeah, the Hagaran's always got the best.
For Hagaran, I will say the Hagaran Mothership is the best harvesting unit in the game. Next is going to be the Hagaran Carrier, and the Hagaran Mobile Refinery is about the same as a carrier, I think, on the Hig side.
Well, actually, the shipyard isn't that good either.
Oh, the shipyard for Hig is terrible, and I'm sure it's the same for Vaegir.
Yeah. I think Vega's pretty much the same as the flagship, isn't it?
Yeah. They're the same exact design.
Getting quite a lot of lag off Tyguy.
Alright, so we got Tyguy with double fighter modules now, and Gazer has one fighter module on his carrier only.
Okay, so we also have a capital ship facility on Gazer, and not one on Ty.
So this is really interesting.
That's a mess up.
Yeah, you're right, because it's I especially wouldn't expect this from Tyguy. Tyguy is the type of player who loves to get, at least 3-patch economy. I guess he feels like, the patches are so big here that he's already happy with the economy he's got, and he's just ready to start applying pressure, perhaps? Because otherwise you would absolutely, there's no reason here not to get a capital ship facility unless you're planning to attack now or very soon.
I think he's going for a quick hit here because obviously he's got all his fighters docked. He might be going bombers too and just go strip subsystems.
Yeah, so for TY guy, he's got 17 collectors. Looks like he's rushing those fighters out. And Garzerlake, I think he has 19 collectors, so a few more. But then he's got all these carriers and mobile refineries, and he's not going to be able to defend versus what TY might be undocking very soon.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah, he's moving his carrier out right now.
Yeah, and you were talking about this last game, Ruby. Garzerlake, he is actually scouting, but is he using the information that he's getting from his scouts? Does he see Tyguy leaving a refinery behind, moving his carrier? Does he see that he's got these fighter facilities? And is he going to react to it? Or is he just going to say, oh, my opponent's over there, sure, I knew that, and just continue with what he's doing? He's also got that sensors array on his forward carrier again. So, but I don't see any, military production, even now.
Okay, yeah, this is definitely a push. Double refinery.
Yeah.
That's a push.
It could, I'm wondering if there's maybe hyperspace.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, because look the way his mothership's facing. It's backwards.
So,
no way he's going to walk across the map.
A popular thing with people who do hypertorps is they get their hyperspace module and they pause it at 99%.
Yep.
That way you can't see it coming. So he might have it paused at 90%, unpause it, finish, jump over. And that's what he's doing right now.
This is a hyperspace.
He's jumping his carrier over.
His mothership obviously has a resource collector docking with it, so it's
Yeah.
gonna
So he can't jump at the moment.
Yeah, it's a very annoying feature.
We only have one fighter for Garzerlake. Oh, then we have a Corvette facility now too, but I think that just finished.
It absolutely did just finish right now.
So if he has any bombers, he's gonna strip this. He's gonna kill that Corvette facility.
This is gonna be rough.
All right. So
yeah, he's got bombers. There it is. And they do have the upgrade, I'm pretty sure.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think that is an appropriate reaction. Okay, I don't think I remember the last time I actually saw a Vega
there's no way
hyperspace their production.
He might have enough fighters to contest, but the bombers will strip before he can deal with them.
I'm not too sure if this is 100% done deal for Garzerlake, because he has much superior economy. And he has much superior production. Yeah, what you're saying
he could do?
Yeah, no, what you're saying is absolutely correct about the bombers. They have the improved bombs. But if he manages to strip down these bomber numbers, he could potentially just outproduce Tyguy, even when Tyguy's all-inning like this. I'm not saying it's likely, but the potential is there. The stacked hull defense from the flagship and the carriers and all this will actually take its toll quite heavily on these bombers too. So,
if he could get a nice scuttle, he could reset. And then...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he could blow his mothership, and he's got 3 carriers, so he's good to go.
Yeah, and Tyguy is in no position to build an extra carrier here. You know, he does still have the research module, but he doesn't have the capital facility, and I don't think he's interested in building one right now. He needs to sell the hyperspace module though.
So we got double fire control towers from TY guy.
So
looks like he's sealing up fighters with that.
Yeah, he's absolutely 100% all in here. He invested a lot of money in improved bombs, and bombers themselves aren't cheap, and the hyperspace for the flagship is not cheap either. And the fire controls add up to 3,000. You know, Tyguy's winning here, or he's packing up and taking the 1-1.
Gazer needs to sell these mods before they die. Like, rip, there goes about like what 800 RU from that cap mod.
Exactly. There's a fighter facility desperately trying to build an assault craft squadron, I'm sure. I'd like to see. So a lot of players don't realize what they should be doing if their modules are getting sniped with fighters like this. So basically, you've got a couple of options. You can either spew out mobile refineries, because those actually deal with fighters. Not great, but
yeah, it's like a free gun plat when you don't have the platform module.
Exactly. And speaking of platforms, you know, gun platforms in 2.4, they actually do hit fighters. Not great, but they are significantly better than 2.1, of course. So you can just slap a whole bunch of platform modules, and players tend to not notice the modules on the side of your carriers, as well as they do actually notice these facilities that take up the big space on the top. So you can actually get away with pumping out a few platforms as well. But I feel like it's too late.
For the future for Garzerlake, the way to tell if you're going to get rushed like this is if when you scout, especially against the Vaegir, if you don't see them building carriers.
Yeah.
If you don't see any extra carriers, they're in a macro game, like, Vaegirs are going to have a carrier out by like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, right?
Yeah.
If you don't see that, they're going for some type of aggression.
Precisely. Especially on a map like this, if you see double military production and no carrier facility, then you are getting all in. Otherwise, it would be just a very strange mistake from a high-level player like Tyguy to be making.
I actually wonder why Ty didn't just decide to macro it out. I feel like he's usually a macro player.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. You know, he always prefers these macro games, but I guess he just decided to spice it up. And,
yeah, you gotta mix it up every now and then.
Yeah.
After fighting S, he's just like,
yeah, I don't want to play macro anymore. There goes a bomber squadron. That kind of hurts to see, but
Also, something else you can do when the bombers are attacking your fighters, if you take your capital ships and mobile refineries, put them on attack and aggressive, they'll deal more damage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, definitely.
And you can single target them, and they'll actually wipe out the fighters pretty well.
Here comes a scuttle on a carrier, but I'm sure Tyguy must have seen this. He actually got hit by a very nasty scuttle from S today.
So he would have lost his entire swarm if he would have done his mothership there. All those fighters would have been gone.
Yeah, I feel like maybe not all of them, because the flagship scuttle animation is like twice as long. But
true that. Yep.
See what he could have done. He still has a research module, so he could have put a cloak on one of his carriers, cloaked his mothership, and then scuttled it with it cloaked. That way you can see the.
Yeah.
Now you're thinking, Robbie.
Yeah.
Well, so the first time I saw S try this strategy out on me, it's like, I want to try this with you. So he did it to me, and I did it back to him in the same exact game as the Yaren, but I was cloaked, so he didn't know it.
Yeah, exactly.
And now he's like, now it became hyperspace cloaked scuttles.
Yeah. Shield has become very obnoxious to play. It's that flagship, once it disappears from the map, it could be on your resource line, so you've got to run your collectors, or it could not be on your resource line. You know, it's and yeah, there's the real damage that those bombers have done. So that's 12k that Garzerlake might as well not have even mined. You know.
Yeah, just couldn't build any units with all the bombers sniping.
Nope.
I mean, guys, your macro is pretty good, but you just need to use the scouting information you obtain.
Absolutely.
Better. That's the only.
You know, I will say, you know, with macro like this, Garza's probably got a very good matchup against most of the other players in this tournament. You know, players who aren't going to hit him as hard and as fast as Tyguy will. You know, I feel like a lot of the newer players, and perhaps even some of the older hats who are trying to return to the game, might not punish such clean macro. But yeah, Tyguy's obviously played against S quite a lot, and he's played against me, and he's been around for a while, so he sees someone playing like this and he says, you know, I can hit now, I can push now, or I can just out macro you, so
like if this was a team game, you can get away with this kind of macro
Yeah.
and be a beast, usually. But
Yeah.
it's really hard to get away with it in 1v1.
Precisely.
And 2v2 somewhat as well. 2v2s are pretty similar to 1v1s. If you like miss a beat in 2v2, it's pretty much lights out.
Exactly. Garzerlake's still not tapping out of this game. I'm wondering why. He must think that he can pull it back somehow. But with these missile corvettes on the field, there's really nothing to build. You know, if you're building assault craft to deal with the assault craft, first off, you won't win that fight anyway. Second off, you know, even if you did deal with these assault craft, the missile corvettes are just going to kill all of your collectors. So it's just, you know, it's a hat on a hat at this point. He's not even able to build many things anyway. His flagship's just sitting there completely ineffectual. He does manage to squeeze out a couple of fighter squadrons. Oh, that's a scout. But I can't imagine they're going to do much.
Yeah.
Finally actually getting some hits on these bombers now, but they are still going to kill another fighter facility. And none of these facilities were sold, you know? Every single one of these was a kill.
Yeah, you definitely want to try to
for him.
recycle them before they get sniped.
You know, this is just a lesson for him, and he learned it the hard way. And thanks to his game, other people will know now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I am yelling about this in pretty much every game I cast. You know, you need to scout, you need to react to your scout. But you know, it's even, you know, he was actually scouting. You know, you can't say that about, you know, he did have the scout flying around over there. It's just that I think he's too green. Like, he didn't realize exactly what to look for in the tells. You know, my friend tried to get into StarCraft, and he kind of couldn't get into it because he said to me, you know, I read what my opponent's doing, but I just have no idea what it means. You know, I see 4 warp gates from a Protoss. I don't know what that means. I don't play Protoss. You're expecting me to learn all this stuff, and I feel like Garzerlake's probably feeling like that right now. You know, he's saying to himself, well, I saw what my opponent was doing, and I macroed well, but I just had no idea that this was coming for me.
So I used to play World of Warcraft, the raiding scene, pretty hardcore.
Right.
And one scenario.
Oh, there's a cloak. Wait, is there a cloak? No, they just died. Sorry.
My raid leader always told me was expect every mechanic to hit you, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
You must be ready. So, in the back of your mind when you're playing these games, especially against players like S and Ty, and yourself, Fear, these 3 players in particular like to do oddball strats.
Yeah.
Like this, or Cloak Scuttle, or
yeah,
I'll give anything else away.
It's absolutely true. You know, it's like you
just
you know,
expect something out of, like, don't expect a macro game. Just because, like, the game before, like, it was a macro game. Ty macroed versus him, and maybe he got complacent and was like, "Oh, I was in a macro game because it's a big map."
Yeah.
So don't assume that.
Yeah, you
it's
should
gonna be
you
another
should
macro
definitely
game.
not assume that. But at the same time, it's kind of like I guess he didn't realize what he should even not be assuming, if that makes sense. You know, it's sort of like he has so little experience with the multiplayer scene in this game. He didn't even realize that you probably could do this, or he didn't probably realize that, you know, improved bombs killed modules that fast. You know, so there's a lot of learning curve that he has to go through before he's able to, you know, as you say, properly take defensive measures and, you know, notice what his opponent's doing and actually play defensively like that. But he's going to call the...
Hey, watch the middle, he's going to get the missile corvettes.
Yeah.
Was it a surrender or was it a scuttle? I guess we'll find out.
I think it was a surrender, but
Oh, it could have been, yeah.
No,
No,
it was a
it's still good.
scuttle! Oh!
Ah!
Oh, what a
Please,
shot.
Up this kill
out
count.
with the bang.
Oh.
What I was saying, a lot of new players that are newer than him, Garzerlake, they don't make enough units early game.
Right.
Well, look at that. He got more kills from that scuttle than Ty got the entire game.
Wow. That is... Scuttle is a
By
great
3.
mechanic. I love Scuttle.
2.
I hate
By
Scuttle.
2.
I hate Scuttle. Anyway, that was the best of series. Actually, it's not a best of series. It's just a 2-game series in the round robin. That was Tyguy versus Garzerlake. So that's Tyguy's... All of his series are wrapped up now. He's played against Koos, I think he played against. I might be remembering wrong, but then he played against S, a very brutal series, and now he's just finished his match with Garzerlake. So he's actually, I think he's going to end up in the winners bracket because he won 4 of his 6 games. Garzerlake is down.
Depends on
0-2.
how S does, right?
Yeah.
how the other ones do.
So
I think
Fear,
he's the only one I've
how is
played
the
that
winners
do it.
bracket going to work? Is it going to be a 6 to the winners bracket, and then, or sorry, for each group, is it going to be 2 go up to the winners bracket and then 2 go down to the losers bracket, or what's the game plan?
I think I will reserve judgment on this. So obviously you can win your group convincingly, or you can win your group by a small margin, etc. So I feel like, the problem with putting 6-6 is that people are going to get buys in the elimination stage, and I kind of want to at least make the buys fair. So if I see that people, there are definite winners of these group stages, I will give the people who did the best in their group stages the buys, and then the people who were just below them will have to enter in at the lower level. Otherwise, I may in fact do the 4 to 8. I'm still thinking about it, to be honest. Is the answer to that question.
So I can give you my thoughts on that. When you look at any round robin from StarCraft 2 or the other RTS games out there, usually 2 advance to the next stage, because it could be the case that you've got 2 guys that are doing good in one group and they just happen to be in the same group. It could also be the chance that depending on the way it falls out, you might have some ties where you can't figure out, okay, who's the 4th person to put on. So, when you do 2 from each group, it makes it easy to figure out. There's never going to be a tie. You can always have 2 advance cleanly to the next round.
Well, regardless, I think Tyguy's going to end up in his winners bracket. I'm expecting the same from S, because he's in the same group. But we might see some surprises, who knows? But I'm going to have to wrap this one up here, because otherwise we're just going to talk for about 50 hours about various things to do with Homeworld, and that is not the purpose of this video. So I'm going to wrap this one up here. Garzerlake did really well. I feel like, players get demoralized when they take losses like this, and they say, I'm not learning, or things like this. But Garzerlake, you played really well. The macro style was actually executed really cleanly, but you just need to learn about what you're seeing with your scouts, and perhaps pay more attention to that. As for Tyguy, I mean, he's Tyguy. He's just running over his opponents.
I think he needed that, after, honestly.
Alright, yeah. But, everyone's got room to improve. Even the quote-unquote best players. So, I'm going to wrap this one up here, and I'll click the link in the description to join the Discord. God damn it, everyone's watching these videos and they're not getting involved in the community. So, click that, find us online, play games with us. Alright, see you around.